The desert swallowed them whole. In the summer of 1990, a bright yellow school bus, affectionately nicknamed the Scorpion, carrying 20 American high school students and their chaperones, Mr. Henderson and Ms. Chavez, vanished without a trace during a field trip into the unforgiving expanse of Death Valley. This wasn't a mere delay or a misrouted journey. It was an absolute erasure. A sudden, chilling void where laughter and youthful anticipation had once been. What began as an educational adventure for eager students like Sarah Miller, known for her aspiring photography, and Ethan Johnson, with his keen interest in geology, quickly devolved into a national nightmare. Imagine the immediate, gut-wrenching panic that seized parents, the frantic phone calls turning into desperate pleas for information, the dawning horror that their children, entrusted to a school, had simply ceased to exist. Search parties, an immense mobilization of human will against nature's indifference, battled the relentless 120-degree Fahrenheit heat, crisscrossing the desolate landscape for clues. Every dune, every rocky outcrop, every dry wash was scrutinized, helicopter blades churning the scorching air, ground teams sifting through endless sand. Yet the vast, silent dunes offered no answers, only an agonizing void for the grieving families. The initial hope, fueled by the belief that modern technology and human ingenuity could conquer any challenge, slowly eroded under the sun's unyielding glare. Days bled into weeks, weeks into months, and then, inexorably, 3 years passed, each day deepening the chilling mystery of their disappearance. The story became a national obsession, a stark reminder of humanity's vulnerability in the face of nature's raw power, a narrative whispered in hushed tones about the perils of the unknown. Then in 1993, a remote discovery brought both a semblance of closure and a renewed terrifying question. Far from any known road, half buried in the shifting sand as if the desert itself had coughed it back up, the Scorpion was found. Its bright yellow paint, once a beacon of youthful energy, was faded and sandblasted, its windows blinded by dust, its interior hauntingly empty. The bus had returned from the desert's grasp, a silent, rusted coffin of a vehicle, but the 20 American students and their 2 chaperones had not. Their absence was a scream in the silence, leaving behind an enduring, chilling enigma of the vanished. This isn't just a tale of a lost bus, it's a profound exploration of disappearance itself, the unsettling notion that people, in a world mapped and monitored, can simply cease to be, leaving behind nothing but questions and a haunting emptiness that echoes across decades. It forces us to confront the limits of our understanding, the deceptive tranquility of landscapes that hold unfathomable power, and the enduring human struggle to make sense of the inexplicable. The discovery of the Scorpion without its human cargo didn't solve the mystery. It merely deepened it, twisting the knife of uncertainty in the hearts of those left behind. It transformed a desperate search into a cold case wrapped in an impossible riddle. What force could obliterate 22 individuals from the face of the earth, leaving behind their vessel as a ghostly testament? This isn't just about a school bus swallowed by sand. It's about the psychological impact of an unsolved disappearance, the way it reshapes communities, and the chilling realization that some places on our planet still hold the capacity to consume and conceal without explanation. We often think of our world as thoroughly explored, every corner documented, every path traced by satellite. Yet this incident, this profound absence, stands as a stark counter-narrative, a testament to the fact that even in an age of unparalleled information, true enigmas persist. It compels us to look beyond the surface, to question the familiar, and to delve into the very nature of what it means to vanish. The specific details of the Scorpion incident, though fictionalized for this narrative, resonate with a deeper, universal human fear. The fear of the unknown, the terror of loss without closure, the unsettling thought that some forces are simply beyond our control or comprehension. It taps into the primal dread of being erased, of leaving no trace, of becoming a statistic in an endless desert of questions. This story isn't just a historical recounting, it's an invitation to explore the scientific, psychological, and even philosophical dimensions of such an event. How does a vast, seemingly empty landscape become an active participant in a disappearance? What are the limits of human endurance, both physically and emotionally, when confronted with an absolute void? And how do societies cope when the answers remain stubbornly out of reach? When the very ground beneath our feet seems to swallow truth whole? This enduring riddle of the vanished students and their empty bus serves as a potent focal point for understanding the complex interplay between human vulnerability, the raw power of nature, and the relentless human quest for answers, even when faced with the most confounding silence. The initial shock gave way to a relentless, almost obsessive pursuit of answers. Every theory was explored, every potential lead chased down, every fragment of information scrutinized. Was it a tragic accident, a sudden environmental catastrophe, or something far more sinister, an act of malevolence perfectly executed within the desert's embrace? The lack of any definitive evidence, any struggle, any sign of their direction of travel from the bus only fueled the speculative fires. The desert, in its vast, silent majesty, became both a suspect and an accomplice. Its ability to erase footprints, to shift landscapes, to hide secrets beneath its scorching surface, made it the perfect stage for such an inexplicable drama. The families, initially united in their desperate hope, found themselves grappling with a void that no amount of searching could fill, no amount of grieving could resolve. The absence was not just of their loved ones, but of the truth itself, a truth that seemed to have dissolved into the shimmering heat haze and the endless expanse of sand and rock. This profound lack of resolution created a unique kind of suffering, a permanent state of limbo that defied the usual processes of mourning and acceptance. It is this enduring, agonizing question mark that we will now endeavor to unpack layer by layer, exploring the many facets of disappearance and the environments that enable them. This narrative, while rooted in the chilling specifics of the Scorpion, branches out to touch upon the broader scientific principles that govern extreme environments, the psychological toll of ambiguous loss, and the societal mechanisms that activate in the face of such overwhelming uncertainty. We will delve into how such vast, seemingly empty spaces like Death Valley operate, not just as landscapes, but as active participants in events that defy easy explanation. We will consider the historical precedents for inexplicable disappearances, exploring how humanity has grappled with similar mysteries throughout time. The story of the 20 American students is not just an isolated incident. It serves as a powerful lens through which to examine our understanding of risk, the limits of our control, and the enduring power of the unknown. It is a testament to the fact that even in our hyper-connected, technologically advanced world, there are still places and circumstances where the veil between presence and absence can be drawn with terrifying swiftness and finality, leaving behind only echoes and an agonizing, unanswered question. The human element in this story is paramount. Each student, each chaperone, represented a life, a future, a network of relationships abruptly severed. The sheer number involved amplified the tragedy, turning a localized incident into a national trauma. How does a community, a nation, process such a collective loss without a body, without a definitive explanation, without the ritual of farewell? The discovery of the empty bus, rather than offering solace, intensified the psychological burden. It confirmed the worst fear, that the individuals were gone, but simultaneously introduced an even more disturbing question: where and how? The bus, a symbol of their journey, became a monument to their absence, a silent sentinel guarded by the desert's secrets. This profound lack of an ending, this enduring ambiguity, creates a unique psychological landscape for those left behind, a state of perpetual searching, not just for bodies, but for meaning, for closure that never arrives. It is this complex interaction between the physical environment, human resilience, and the relentless pursuit of truth that forms the core of our deeper exploration. To truly grasp the magnitude of what occurred, we must first understand the stage upon which this drama unfolded. Death Valley is not merely a name, it is a descriptor, a stark warning etched into the very topography of the land. It is a place of extremes, a crucible where life itself seems to hang by a thread. This environment, often perceived as barren and lifeless, is in fact a dynamic, powerful force, capable of both breathtaking beauty and terrifying destruction. Its vastness is not just spatial, it is temporal, a landscape shaped by millennia of geological forces, indifferent to the fleeting presence of human life. The story of the Scorpion and its vanished passengers is inextricably linked to this unique geographical context, a context that not only facilitated their disappearance, but has also stubbornly guarded its secrets for decades. It is a reminder that while we often view nature as a backdrop to human events, there are times when it asserts itself as the primary actor, dictating the terms of existence and sometimes the terms of disappearance. The silence that followed the discovery of the empty bus was not merely the absence of sound. It was the deafening silence of unanswered questions, of a narrative abruptly cut short, of futures unfulfilled. This silence became a character in itself, embodying the desert's refusal to yield its secrets. It was a silence that echoed in the homes of the grieving families, in the news reports, and in the collective consciousness of a nation grappling with an incomprehensible loss. The very act of vanishing, especially without a trace in a world increasingly filled with surveillance and data, challenges our fundamental assumptions about safety, control, and the limits of human knowledge. It forces us to confront the unsettling possibility that some mysteries are designed to remain unsolved, that some truths are simply too vast or too deeply buried for us to uncover. This is the profound paradox at the heart of the Scorpion enigma. A clear, physical object returned, yet the lives it carried remained utterly, irrevocably gone, leaving behind only the haunting spectre of their absence and the enduring, chilling question of what truly transpired in the heart of Death Valley. Death Valley's very name is a historical echo, a grim testament to its unforgiving nature, long before any modern vehicle traversed its scorching basin. Its reputation as a place where the unwary can simply cease to be isn't a recent phenomenon. It's woven into the fabric of American westward expansion. Consider the harrowing tale of the lost 49ers during the Gold Rush, a group of prospectors who, in 1849, stumbled into this seemingly endless expanse, convinced it was a shortcut. Their odyssey of starvation and dehydration, from which only a few miraculously emerged, etched the valley's deadly potential into the national consciousness. This historical precedent firmly establishes the region not merely as a challenging landscape, but as a silent, active antagonist, capable of swallowing human endeavor whole, a place where the line between exploration and oblivion has always been perilously thin. Beyond historical anecdotes, the very geology and climate of Death Valley conspire to create an environment uniquely suited for concealment. Its vast salt flats, expansive gravel plains, and labyrinthine canyons offer an almost infinite array of hiding places, each indistinguishable from the last to the untrained eye. The extreme aridity and temperature fluctuations accelerate decomposition, while flash floods, though rare, can swiftly reconfigure the landscape, burying or displacing objects with astonishing efficiency. Furthermore, the desert's notorious mirages, optical illusions born of shimmering heat, can disorient and mislead, turning familiar landmarks into phantoms and obscuring true directions. This combination of natural factors creates a dynamic, ever-shifting stage where traces of human presence can be rapidly erased or rendered invisible, transforming a simple journey into a potential vanishing act. The technological landscape of the early 1990s also played a critical, often overlooked role in compounding the mystery. Unlike today, where ubiquitous GPS devices, satellite phones, and personal locator beacons offer a constant digital lifeline, the wilderness of 3 decades ago was truly disconnected. Cell phone coverage was virtually non-existent in such remote areas, and satellite imagery was neither publicly accessible nor capable of the real-time, high-resolution detail we now take for granted. Search and rescue operations relied heavily on visual observation from aircraft and ground patrols, a Sisyphean task across hundreds of square miles of undifferentiated terrain. This technological void meant that once a vehicle strayed from a known path or its occupants ventured away, they entered a realm of profound isolation, where their fate was entirely dependent on chance sightings or their own dwindling resources, greatly amplifying the potential for an enduring disappearance. Moreover, a subtle but pervasive human tendency to underestimate extreme environments contributed to the inherent risks. Despite warnings and preparations, the sheer scale and raw power of Death Valley can be difficult for the human mind to fully grasp until confronted directly. The allure of its stark beauty and the promise of educational discovery can inadvertently lead to a false sense of security, particularly for those accustomed to more temperate or controlled settings. The transition from a structured, planned field trip to an unplanned survival situation demands a radical shift in mindset and a level of resilience that few are ever truly prepared for. This psychological dimension, the chasm between expectation and reality in a hostile environment, often forms the genesis of tragic outcomes, setting the stage for events where even well-intentioned excursions can veer into the unfathomable. Consequently, the conditions that enabled the Scorpion mystery to unfold were not merely a stroke of bad luck. They were a confluence of deep historical precedent, formidable environmental forces, the limitations of contemporary technology, and a persistent human underestimation of nature's raw power. It was an era where vast tracts of land remained truly wild, capable of swallowing secrets whole without immediate digital breadcrumbs. This intricate web of factors created a unique window in time and space where a group of people could, quite literally, become untraceable, leaving behind a void that modern advancements might now prevent. The mystery, therefore, is not just about what happened, but about how the very fabric of the time and place conspired to make such an absolute vanishing act possible, transforming a simple journey into a lasting, chilling question mark against the backdrop of an ancient, indifferent land. The discovery of the Scorpion presented a unique set of forensic challenges that confounded investigators from the outset. Unlike a typical crime scene or accident site, the desert environment itself acts as a relentless eraser, actively working against the preservation of evidence. Consider the subtle yet critical clues that might typically remain: footprints, discarded items, or even traces of struggle. In Death Valley, the ceaseless wind rapidly scours surfaces, filling depressions with fine sand and obliterating any ephemeral marks within hours. Furthermore, the extreme diurnal temperature swings and intense solar radiation accelerate the degradation of organic materials. A dropped piece of clothing, a food wrapper, or any biological trace would quickly bleach, embrittle, or decompose, making identification or even detection incredibly difficult. This environmental attrition means that by the time the bus was found 3 years later, the scene was not merely cold. It was largely sterile, stripped bare of the transient human imprints that are often vital to reconstructing events. The sheer scale of the search operation, despite its massive deployment of resources, encountered what experts term the paradox of scale. Let it go. With an area so vast, even meticulously planned grid searches become akin to looking for a single grain of sand on an endless beach, especially when the initial last known point, LKP, or Point Last Seen, PLS for the individuals, was the bus itself, which had moved significantly from any established route. Without a precise starting point for the human element of the disappearance, searchers faced an exponentially expanding probability field. Every potential direction of travel, every possible shelter, every shadow cast by a distant mountain range represented a new, equally plausible, and equally unpromising vector to explore. This fundamental uncertainty about the initial trajectory of the missing students and chaperones meant that search efforts were perpetually playing catch-up, reacting to the emptiness rather than following a discernible trail. Moreover, the bus itself, a silent witness, offered its own cryptic messages. Forensic analysis of the vehicle would have focused on its mechanical state, fuel consumption, and any signs of forced entry or internal disarray. Was the fuel tank empty, suggesting they ran out of gas, far from aid? Were there signs of a struggle within the cabin, or was everything meticulously tidy, indicating an orderly departure? The absence of any significant damage, beyond the sandblasting and weathering typical of 3 years in the desert, suggested the bus had not been involved in a violent crash. Yet, the lack of personal belongings, backpacks, cameras, water bottles, within the vehicle posed another perplexing question. Did they take everything with them, preparing for an extended trek, or were these items simply not present when the bus was abandoned? This detail is crucial. It speaks volumes about the intentions or circumstances of their departure from the vehicle. Another layer of complexity stems from the potential for human error or misjudgment in such an environment. Even experienced hikers can succumb to disorientation in monotonous landscapes, where landmarks can appear deceptively similar. Imagine the psychological toll on a group of high school students and their chaperones, thrust into an unplanned survival scenario. The initial panic, followed by the insidious onset of dehydration, can severely impair cognitive function, leading to poor decision-making. People under extreme stress might choose a direction that seems logical at the time, but leads them further into peril, or they might split up, believing they can cover more ground, inadvertently increasing their vulnerability. The desert, with its vast, featureless expanses, offers no easy escape from such compounding errors, and indeed amplifies their consequences. Ultimately, the empty bus served as a stark, tangible piece of evidence, yet it was also a profound enigma. It confirmed the location of the vehicle, but offered maddeningly little about the people. Its discovery shifted the focus from finding the bus to finding the individuals, but without the benefit of fresh clues or a clear narrative. The sand-filled interior, the dust-blinded windows, and the eerie silence within became symbols of the desert's ultimate triumph over human presence, a chilling tableau that spoke volumes about absence, yet revealed nothing about the specific mechanisms of that absence. The silent metal shell thus became a monument to an unanswered question, a physical anchor for an unmoored mystery that continues to haunt the imagination. The enduring mystery of the vanished students paradoxically catalyzed a profound re-evaluation of how we interact with and protect ourselves within extreme environments. Prior to such stark disappearances, wilderness excursions, particularly for educational purposes, often operated under a more generalized understanding of risk. However, the incomprehensible silence left by the Scorpion forced a seismic shift in public perception, transforming the wilderness from a romanticized backdrop for adventure into a formidable, unpredictable entity demanding heightened respect and rigorous planning. Consequently, this incident and others like it spurred the development of more stringent safety protocols for organized group outings into remote or dangerous areas. Consider the immediate aftermath. School districts across the nation likely reviewed and revised their field trip guidelines, mandating more comprehensive risk assessments, stricter chaperone-to-student ratios, and mandatory communication plans, often including satellite-based devices where cellular service remained unreliable. Beyond policy shifts, these events subtly alter our collective psyche, embedding cautionary tales into the cultural fabric. The narrative of the Scorpion transcends a simple news story. It morphs into a modern-day legend, whispered around campfires or discussed in classrooms, serving as a potent reminder of humanity's vulnerability. This collective processing of an ambiguous loss, where there are no bodies to mourn and no definitive explanation to grasp, creates a unique psychological burden on society. It challenges our inherent need for closure, leaving a gaping void that demands constant re-examination and speculation. This societal grappling with the unknown often manifests in popular culture, inspiring countless works of fiction, documentaries, and true crime narratives that attempt to fill the informational vacuum, offering imagined resolutions or exploring the chilling implications of such absolute vanishing acts. These creative endeavors, while not providing factual answers, serve as a communal coping mechanism, allowing us to confront our deepest fears about the fragility of existence and the indifference of nature. Furthermore, the persistent enigma surrounding the Scorpion inadvertently propelled advancements in search and rescue methodologies and forensic science, particularly concerning remote and challenging terrains. The sheer frustration of finding a vehicle but no people demanded innovative solutions. This pressing need drove research into more sophisticated remote sensing technologies, moving beyond basic aerial reconnaissance. Imagine the impetus for developing advanced thermal imaging drones, capable of detecting subtle heat signatures across vast, scorching landscapes, or ground-penetrating radar systems refined to identify anomalies beneath shifting sands. These technological leaps are often direct responses to the limitations exposed by cases like the Scorpion, pushing the boundaries of what is scientifically possible in locating lost individuals or their remains in environments that actively conspire against detection. Another crucial layer involves the scientific understanding of human survival and decomposition in extreme arid conditions. The very absence of the students, coupled with the eventual discovery of their empty bus, forced researchers to refine models for how long individuals could survive without water, how far they might travel in a disoriented state, and the rate at which human remains can degrade or be scattered by scavengers and environmental forces in such a harsh climate. This macabre but necessary scientific inquiry aims to provide better predictive tools for future search operations, offering more informed probabilities and narrowing the colossal search grids that previously overwhelmed resources. Understanding the desert's capacity, not just to conceal, but to actively erase, became paramount, informing everything from emergency preparedness guides to the training protocols for specialized search units. Consequently, the legacy of the Scorpion is far more pervasive than the immediate tragedy. It underscored a fundamental truth. Even in our technologically advanced age, there remain formidable frontiers where nature asserts its absolute dominion, capable of erasing human presence with chilling efficiency. This event contributed to a broader societal conversation about the inherent risks of exploring the planet's wild places, prompting a re-evaluation of our hubris and fostering a more humble respect for the raw power of the natural world. It became a touchstone for discussions on resilience, the psychological impact of prolonged uncertainty, and the relentless human quest for answers, even when faced with the most profound, enduring silence. The stark absence of any definitive explanation following the scorpion's discovery inevitably fostered a fertile ground for speculation, giving rise to a multitude of theories ranging from the plausible to the profoundly improbable. When confronted with such an inexplicable void, the human mind instinctively seeks to fill it, often creating narratives that are more psychologically satisfying than the agonizing truth of perpetual uncertainty. This inherent need for closure meant that the official investigative silence was quickly replaced by a cacophony of alternative explanations, each attempting to impose order on a chaotic, bewildering event. Everything from a meticulously planned abduction by an unknown adversary to a mass, disoriented exodus driven by an unforeseen environmental trigger became fodder for public discourse, highlighting our collective discomfort with unresolved mysteries. One persistent misconception that often plagues discussions of wilderness disappearances, especially in environments as extreme as Death Valley, revolves around the instinctual response to becoming stranded. Many individuals, influenced by dramatic portrayals in popular media, might instinctively believe that their best chance of survival lies in abandoning a disabled vehicle and setting out on foot to find help or civilization. This impulse, while seemingly logical in a less hostile setting, is precisely what survival experts frequently warn against in arid, expansive terrains. The "stay with your vehicle" mantra is rooted in the understanding that a large, brightly colored bus like the Scorpion is infinitely easier for search and rescue teams to spot from the air than a small group of individuals on the ground. Striking out on foot, particularly without adequate water, navigation skills, or knowledge of the terrain, dramatically reduces visibility and exponentially increases the risk of dehydration, disorientation, and ultimately, a more absolute vanishing. Conversely, the chilling possibility of a perfect crime often surfaces in such cases where evidence is scarce and the environment acts as a natural accomplice. The theory posits that the desert's vastness and extreme conditions were not merely factors in a tragic accident, but rather meticulously exploited by a perpetrator or group. Imagine the logistical nightmare of orchestrating the disappearance of 22 individuals without leaving a single trace of struggle, a clear motive, or any subsequent demand. Yet the very emptiness of the bus, coupled with the absence of any remains, lends a sinister, albeit unsubstantiated weight to this line of inquiry for some. It presents a disturbing narrative where the desert itself is weaponized, its natural capacity for concealment serving as the ultimate alibi, leaving investigators and the public grappling with the unsettling notion of a meticulously executed plan that vanished into the shimmering heat. Beyond the realm of speculation, the psychological toll on the professional investigators and searchers involved in such a protracted, unresolved case is immense. Unlike incidents where bodies are recovered and a cause of death can be determined, this scenario offers no tangible resolution. The relentless pursuit of phantom clues, the agonizing re-evaluation of every minute detail, and the constant burden of families' unanswered questions can lead to profound frustration and a lingering sense of failure. This unique form of ambiguous loss extends beyond the direct victims' families, deeply affecting those whose professional lives are dedicated to bringing answers, leaving them haunted by the silence of the desert and the spectral presence of the vanished. The absence becomes a psychological weight, a constant reminder of the limits of human ingenuity against nature's indifference. Another prevalent myth concerns the perceived ease of finding sustenance or refuge in seemingly barren landscapes. Many harbor a romanticized notion of the wilderness, believing that basic survival skills or sheer willpower can always locate water sources or natural shelters. However, Death Valley ruthlessly disabuses such notions. Its dry washes are often precisely that, devoid of water for extended periods, and its sparse vegetation offers negligible shade or resources. The sheer distances between potential water sources, often tens of miles, combined with the rapid onset of dehydration in extreme heat, transforms even short excursions into life-threatening endeavors. The desert's deceptive tranquility hides a brutal reality, where even a slight deviation from a known path or an overestimation of one's own resilience can lead to a rapid, irreversible decline, cementing the landscape's reputation as an unforgiving arbiter of fate. Ultimately, the enduring enigma of the Scorpion and its lost passengers continues to challenge our reliance on rational scientific explanations. When all logical avenues are exhausted and no conventional solution presents itself, the human tendency to seek extraordinary interpretations gains traction. This isn't about validating fantastical theories, but rather acknowledging the profound psychological impact of an absolute mystery. The sheer scale of the disappearance, coupled with the complete lack of human remains, pushes the boundaries of conventional understanding, forcing us to confront the unsettling possibility that some events simply transcend our current capacity for explanation, becoming modern-day cautionary tales that whisper of the unknown forces at play in our world. The enduring silence surrounding the vanished students from the Scorpion bus has for decades fueled a complex web of challenges and controversies, particularly concerning the very nature of forensic investigation in such an extreme environment. One profound hurdle lies in the unique taphonomy of arid regions, where the processes of decomposition and preservation behave dramatically differently than in more temperate climates. Rather than the predictable decay patterns observed elsewhere, a body in Death Valley might undergo rapid desiccation, leading to a form of natural mummification, or conversely, be entirely consumed and scattered by an array of desert scavengers. This biological erasure means that by the time a search team might eventually locate remains, they could be so fragmented, weathered, or chemically altered that DNA extraction becomes incredibly difficult, if not impossible, frustrating the most advanced identification techniques. Furthermore, consider the relentless work of the desert's indigenous inhabitants. Vultures, coyotes, and even smaller rodents are incredibly efficient at their roles as nature's cleanup crew. Within days, or even hours, a body can be disarticulated, with bones dispersed over a wide area, making a cohesive recovery nearly unfeasible. The fine, shifting sands, often likened to a living entity, then act as a natural burial ground, rapidly covering any remaining fragments. This combination of swift scavenging and geological concealment presents a formidable challenge to investigators, who are often left searching for traces that have been actively obliterated, not merely hidden, by the environment itself. A significant controversy often arises from the inherent limitations of initial search efforts, particularly regarding the critical golden hour, that crucial window immediately following a disappearance when the chances of finding survivors are highest. In a vast, featureless expanse like Death Valley, the sheer scale of the search area, coupled with the rudimentary tracking technologies available in the early 1990s, meant that this golden hour was effectively extended into days or even weeks of desperate, often unfocused searching. Critics later questioned whether resources were optimally deployed or if the initial search parameters were too narrow, failing to account for the potential for widespread disorientation. This retrospective scrutiny highlights the agonizing dilemma faced by search commanders, who must make life or death decisions with incomplete information in an environment designed to swallow clues. Another common misconception, one that tragically underlies many desert disappearances, involves the psychological phenomenon of fatal funnels. When disoriented and under severe duress from dehydration and heatstroke, individuals often gravitate towards what appears to be the path of least resistance: a dry wash, a canyon floor, or a seemingly gradual slope. While these might initially offer a sense of direction or relief from direct sun, they frequently lead deeper into labyrinthine terrain, away from any established roads or potential rescue points. This instinctual decision, born of impaired judgment, can inadvertently guide people into increasingly remote and inescapable traps, creating a self-perpetuating cycle of disorientation and diminishing hope, far removed from their last known location. Beyond the broad environmental challenges, Death Valley harbors numerous specific localized hazards that could account for an absolute disappearance without a trace. The region is riddled with abandoned mine shafts, some dating back to the 19th century, often obscured by brush or crumbling rock. These deep, vertical shafts, some extending hundreds of feet, present lethal pitfalls. Similarly, the valley's vast salt flats, while appearing solid, can conceal treacherous sinkholes or unstable crusts that could collapse underfoot, swallowing individuals whole and leaving no surface evidence. Furthermore, the relentless forces of erosion can create hidden crevasses or unstable rock overhangs, any of which could become an unseen tomb for the unwary, defying detection by even the most diligent search teams. Ultimately, the lack of any human remains or definitive evidence has kept the door open to a perpetual, unsettling controversy. The inability to definitively rule out foul play. While there's no concrete evidence to support it, the sheer, absolute vanishing of 22 individuals without a struggle, a sign of panic, or any subsequent trace, leaves an uncomfortably clean slate. This void creates a unique challenge for investigators, as proving a negative, that no crime occurred, is fundamentally impossible without compelling counter-evidence. Consequently, the enigma of the Scorpion continues to hover in a chilling space between tragic accident and an unfathomable, perhaps darker, unknown, forever challenging our capacity to comprehend what truly happened in the desert's unforgiving embrace. The chilling absence of answers, epitomized by the silent return of a lone vehicle and the perpetual disappearance of its occupants, compels us to confront a profound truth about our existence. Despite our technological advancements and our relentless mapping of the globe, pockets of true mystery endure. This enduring enigma, echoing across the decades, forces us to acknowledge the inherent limits of human understanding and control when pitted against the raw, indifferent power of the natural world. It's a humbling reminder that some narratives refuse a neat resolution, leaving us to grapple with an unwritten final chapter, a void that no amount of searching or speculation can truly fill. We are left not with an explanation, but with a question etched into the very landscape of our collective memory. This particular incident, like others of its kind, transcends mere tragedy. It becomes a powerful catalyst for introspection, urging us to reevaluate our relationship with the wild, untamed corners of our planet. It underscores that even the most meticulously planned expeditions can be subject to unforeseen variables, transforming a journey of discovery into an ultimate test of resilience, and sometimes into an unfathomable vanishing. We learn to appreciate that the Earth's most formidable environments are not merely backdrops for human drama, but active participants, capable of both breathtaking beauty and absolute erasure, challenging our assumptions about safety and predictability. The stories of those who disappear without a trace serve as potent, modern-day parables, teaching us a profound respect for forces far greater than ourselves. Furthermore, the psychological impact of an unresolved disappearance ripples far beyond the immediate families, permeating the broader societal consciousness. It cultivates a unique form of collective grief, one devoid of traditional mourning rituals because there is no tangible endpoint, no definitive truth to accept. This ambiguity festers, breeding a persistent curiosity and, at times, a desperate need for a narrative, even if fabricated. Such enduring mysteries highlight our fundamental human drive for closure, revealing how deeply unsettling it is for our minds to confront a story that simply stops, leaving an open-ended question mark where an answer should be. It challenges our very framework for understanding loss, forcing us to navigate a landscape of perpetual uncertainty. Consider the ongoing evolution of our investigative methodologies, spurred by such confounding cases. The sheer frustration of finding a key piece of evidence, yet having it yield no human answers, pushes the boundaries of forensic science and search technology. It drives the development of more sophisticated remote sensing, advanced environmental forensics capable of detecting the most minute, long-degraded traces, and nuanced behavioral profiling for individuals lost in extreme conditions. These advancements are not solely for future incidents. They are a direct legacy of past enigmas, a testament to humanity's unyielding commitment to understanding. Even in the face of profound silence, each unsolved case becomes a silent teacher, refining our tools and sharpening our resolve to decode the whispers of the past. Ultimately, the tale of the vanished group from the returned vessel implores us to embrace a deeper sense of humility and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. It reminds us that while we strive to conquer and comprehend, there will always be realms beyond our immediate grasp, phenomena that defy our current scientific paradigms. This isn't a call to fear the unknown, but rather to approach it with a profound respect, a sharpened awareness, and an open mind. For it is in these liminal spaces, where the known gives way to the inexplicable, that our curiosity is most profoundly ignited, driving us to ask bigger questions, not just about what happened, but about the very fabric of reality itself. As we reflect on this enduring mystery, we are left with a compelling question. What does it truly mean to vanish in an age of omnipresent information? And what deeper truths do such absolute disappearances reveal about the delicate balance between humanity's reach and the Earth's enduring, silent power? The quest for answers, even when elusive, reinforces the value of persistent inquiry, reminding us that the greatest lessons are often found not in definitive solutions, but in the profound questions that continue to resonate long after the searchlights have faded. The sheer scale of the initial search operation for the Scorpion and its passengers immediately exposed a deeply entrenched challenge: the often fragmented nature of interagency coordination across vast, remote territories. Consider the jurisdictional quagmire that can arise when a search spans national parklands, Bureau of Land Management areas, and state or county jurisdictions. Each entity operates under its own distinct protocols, command structures, and resource allocation strategies, leading to potential inefficiencies. Information vital in those critical early hours might become stovepiped, failing to flow seamlessly between the National Park Service rangers, local sheriff's deputies, state highway patrol, and various volunteer search and rescue organizations. This lack of a unified command from the outset could easily result in redundant efforts in some areas while leaving others unsearched, inadvertently widening the window for the desert to further conceal its secrets. When official explanations fail to materialize, especially in high-profile cases of mass disappearance, a vacuum of information inevitably forms, which the public often fills with alternative narratives. This phenomenon led to a proliferation of conspiracy theories surrounding the Scorpion, ranging from the bizarre to the darkly plausible. Some speculated about a clandestine government operation, perhaps involving experimental aircraft or secret testing that accidentally or deliberately led to the bus's diversion and the students' removal. Others whispered of cult activity, suggesting the group was lured away by a charismatic leader or forcibly taken for an unknown, sinister purpose. The very absence of struggle or remains, rather than simplifying the case, fueled these wilder theories, as the human mind often finds a complex, even fantastical explanation more palatable than the terrifying randomness of an absolute, inexplicable vanishing. Beyond generalized disorientation, the physiological realities of extreme desert exposure paint a grim picture of rapid cognitive and physical decline. Imagine the insidious onset of hypothermia, where the body's core temperature escalates dangerously, leading to profound confusion, irrational decision-making, and eventually organ failure. This is compounded by severe electrolyte imbalance as essential salts are sweated out, disrupting nerve and muscle function, potentially causing debilitating cramps and muscle breakdown, rhabdomyolysis. As dehydration progresses, individuals can experience vivid visual and auditory hallucinations, making it impossible to distinguish reality from delusion. These aren't mere discomforts. They are critical medical emergencies that swiftly strip away a person's ability to think clearly, communicate effectively, or even perceive their own peril, transforming seemingly rational individuals into desperately vulnerable beings. The legal and ethical implications of such a mass disappearance without any human remains present another profound challenge, particularly for the grieving families. Without bodies, no death certificates can be issued, trapping families in a torturous legal limbo. This creates immense difficulties for settling estates, accessing life insurance policies, or even remarrying. The legal system, designed to operate on tangible evidence, struggles to provide closure when confronted with an absolute void. The concept of presumptive death allows for a legal declaration after a specified period, often 7 years. But even then, it's not a definitive pronouncement of how or when the deaths occurred. This protracted legal uncertainty adds another layer of anguish, forcing families to navigate bureaucratic hurdles while simultaneously grappling with their emotional devastation, a unique form of suffering where even the law offers no clear path forward. Moreover, the lack of a definitive narrative often precipitates a blame game, where various entities come under scrutiny in the absence of clear answers. Was the school negligent in its planning or supervision? Did the chaperones make critical errors in judgment? Was the National Park Service adequately warning visitors of the specific dangers of that particular route or time of year? In the absence of direct evidence, fingers can be pointed, accusations can fly, and legal battles can ensue, all without the benefit of a clear chain of events. This quest for accountability, while understandable, can become a contentious and divisive force, further complicating the healing process for those affected and diverting resources from the ongoing, albeit often fruitless, search for truth. The enduring silence, a stark and chilling counterpoint to the initial uproar, leaves us contemplating not just the fate of 22 individuals, but the very nature of existence itself. This profound, unresolved mystery compels us to look beyond the immediate tragedy and consider what it truly means for lives to simply evaporate, leaving behind only echoes and a spectral vehicle. It forces a humbling recognition that even in our meticulously charted world, there remain vast, untamed frontiers, both geographical and conceptual, where the veil between presence and absence can be drawn with terrifying finality, challenging our fundamental assumptions about control and knowledge. Consequently, the narrative of the Scorpion transcends a mere historical incident. It morphs into a modern-day myth, a cautionary tale whispered across generations. It becomes a testament to the unyielding power of the natural world, reminding us that while humanity strives to conquer and comprehend, there are forces that operate on scales far beyond our immediate grasp. This enduring enigma serves to ignite a deep-seated curiosity within us, prompting a re-evaluation of our relationship with the wild, untamed corners of our planet, and fostering a profound respect for their inherent, often perilous, majesty. Moreover, The absence of a definitive conclusion fundamentally reshapes the very fabric of memory and legacy for those touched by such an event. How do families, friends, and a nation remember individuals who have no marked graves, no final resting place, and no clear narrative of their end? Their existence becomes an open-ended question, their memory infused with a perpetual longing for answers that may never come. This unique form of remembrance, devoid of the traditional rituals of closure, highlights the profound human need for an ending, no matter how tragic, and the psychological burden of living with an eternal "what if?" It underscores how the lack of information can paradoxically create a more vivid, albeit agonizing, space in our collective consciousness. Furthermore, this particular brand of vanishing illuminates the subtle yet powerful role of imagination when confronted with an absolute void. In the absence of facts, the human mind instinctively begins to construct possibilities, weaving narratives that attempt to fill the gaping holes in our understanding. These imagined scenarios, whether born of hope or dread, become a testament to our inherent drive to make sense of the senseless, to impose order on chaos. It is in this space of imaginative reconstruction that the deepest fears and most fervent hopes often reside, shaping our ongoing engagement with the mystery long after the physical search has ceased. Building on this, consider the quiet heroism of those who, for decades, refused to forget. This isn't about the initial dramatic search efforts, but the sustained, often solitary dedication of individuals who continue to pore over maps, revisit old theories, or simply keep the memory alive. Their unwavering commitment to a truth that remains hidden speaks volumes about the enduring strength of the human spirit and our innate need for justice, even when that justice is simply the uncovering of a long-lost fact. It reinforces the value of persistent inquiry, demonstrating that the quest for understanding is often its own reward, regardless of whether a definitive answer ever materializes. Ultimately, the tale of the Scorpion and its vanished passengers compels us to embrace a deeper sense of humility and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. It reminds us that while we strive to conquer and comprehend, there will always be realms beyond our immediate grasp, phenomena that defy our current scientific paradigms. This isn't a call to fear the unknown, but rather to approach it with a profound respect, a sharpened awareness, and an open mind. For it is in these liminal spaces, where the known gives way to the inexplicable, that our curiosity is most profoundly ignited, driving us to ask bigger questions, not just about what happened, but about the very fabric of reality itself. The quest for answers, even when elusive, reinforces the value of persistent inquiry, reminding us that the greatest lessons are often found not in definitive solutions, but in the profound questions that continue to resonate long after the searchlights have faded and the desert has reclaimed its silence. The enduring void, left by such an absolute disappearance, forces a profound reckoning with the boundaries of human knowledge, compelling us to confront the unsettling truth that some narratives refuse a neat resolution. This prolonged silence, far from fading into history, instead solidifies into a potent reminder that even in an era of unprecedented surveillance and information saturation, pockets of true enigma persist. It compels us to consider the very nature of what it means for lives to simply evaporate, leaving behind only echoes and a spectral vehicle, challenging our fundamental assumptions about control and the capacity of the natural world to guard its secrets with chilling efficiency. The absence itself becomes a tangible presence, shaping our collective consciousness in a way that a fully explained tragedy never could. This particular brand of vanishing doesn't merely conclude a story, it elevates it into a modern myth, a cautionary tale whispered across generations. It transcends the immediate tragedy, transforming into a testament to the unyielding power of the natural world, reminding us that while humanity strives to conquer and comprehend, there are forces that operate on scales far beyond our immediate grasp. These profound, unresolved mysteries serve to ignite a deep-seated curiosity within us, prompting a re-evaluation of our relationship with the wild, untamed corners of our planet and fostering a profound respect for their inherent, often perilous majesty. They become cultural touchstones, symbols of the unknown that continue to fascinate and humble us. Moreover, the absence of a definitive conclusion fundamentally reshapes the very fabric of memory and legacy for those touched by such an event. How do families, friends, and a nation remember individuals who have no marked graves, no final resting place, and no clear narrative of their end? Their existence becomes an open-ended question, their memory infused with a perpetual longing for answers that may never come. This unique form of remembrance, devoid of the traditional rituals of closure, highlights the profound human need for an ending, no matter how tragic, and the psychological burden of living with an eternal "what if?" It underscores how the lack of information can paradoxically create a more vivid, albeit agonizing space in our collective consciousness, a ghost in the mind that refuses to be laid to rest. Building on this, consider the quiet heroism of those who, for decades, refuse to forget. This isn't about the initial dramatic search efforts, but the sustained, often solitary dedication of individuals who continue to pore over maps, revisit old theories, or simply keep the memory alive through personal vigils and private investigations. Their unwavering commitment to a truth that remains hidden speaks volumes about the enduring strength of the human spirit and our innate need for justice, even when that justice is simply the uncovering of a long-lost fact. It reinforces the value of persistent inquiry, demonstrating that the quest for understanding is often its own reward, regardless of whether a definitive answer ever materializes. This quiet perseverance stands as a testament to the profound impact a single unresolved event can have, echoing through time. Furthermore, the paradox of such an absolute vanishing in an age saturated with data forces us to reconsider the limitations of our technological prowess. Despite satellites peering down from orbit, advanced sensors detecting minute anomalies, and vast networks of communication, the desert demonstrated its capacity to swallow evidence whole, leaving a clean slate where human lives once thrived. This dichotomy between our aspiration for omnipresent knowledge and the stark reality of occasional absolute ignorance compels us to question not just the effectiveness of our tools, but also the very nature of what can be known. It highlights that some truths are simply too vast, too deeply buried, or too ephemeral for even our most sophisticated instruments to capture. Ultimately, the tale of the Scorpion and its vanished passengers compels us to embrace a deeper sense of humility and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. It reminds us that while we strive to conquer and comprehend, there will always be realms beyond our immediate grasp, phenomena that defy our current scientific paradigms. This isn't a call to fear the unknown, but rather to approach it with a profound respect, a sharpened awareness, and an open mind. For it is in these liminal spaces where the known gives way to the inexplicable that our curiosity is most profoundly ignited, driving us to ask bigger questions, not just about what happened, but about the very fabric of reality itself. The quest for answers, even when elusive, reinforces the value of persistent inquiry, reminding us that the greatest lessons are often found not in definitive solutions, but in the profound questions that continue to resonate long after the searchlights have faded and the desert has reclaimed its silence. Reflecting on this expansive journey through the heart of an unparalleled enigma, we perceive how diverse forces, each formidable in its own right, coalesce to cast an indelible shadow of uncertainty. What began as a singular event, A profound absence in a desolate expanse has unfurled into a multifaceted inquiry, revealing the intricate dance between nature's raw power and the fragile tapestry of human enterprise. We have peeled back layers of what might appear as simple misfortune, instead uncovering a complex interplay where the very stage of the incident, a landscape of breathtaking beauty and brutal indifference, became an active, silent accomplice in an unparalleled vanishing act. This synthesis brings into sharp relief the profound humility demanded when confronted with environments that operate on scales far grander than our immediate perceptions, places where the familiar rules of presence and absence can be rewritten with chilling swiftness. Drawing these intricate strands together, we see how the limitations inherent in a specific historical moment, a confluence of nascent technologies and a still uncharted wildness, contributed to the profound silence that followed. This period, poised on the cusp of ubiquitous connectivity, allowed for a unique window where human activity could be utterly absorbed, leaving behind a void that digital breadcrumbs would now instantly fill. It is a stark reminder that our advancements, while impressive, are relatively recent, and that just a few decades ago, vast swathes of our planet retained their ancient capacity to consume and conceal, transforming a mere journey into an unsolvable riddle. The cumulative effect of these factors is a narrative that resists easy categorization, oscillating between the realm of tragic accident and the unsettling whispers of the unknown, perpetually challenging our intellectual and emotional frameworks. As we pivot towards the final reflection, it becomes evident that the enduring mystery has, perhaps inadvertently, sharpened our collective understanding of resilience and the psychological landscape of ambiguous loss. The relentless human drive to seek answers, even when faced with overwhelming odds and an unyielding silence, speaks volumes about our inherent need for closure, for a narrative that provides meaning. This pursuit, though often arduous and ultimately unfulfilled in such cases, has nonetheless spurred advancements in various fields, pushing the boundaries of what is scientifically knowable and operationally achievable in the face of nature's most formidable challenges. The very act of confronting such an absolute unknown has become a crucible for innovation, refining our tools and expanding our comprehension of the delicate balance between vulnerability and perseverance. In light of these insights, the path forward becomes clearer, not necessarily towards a definitive answer for this particular enigma, but towards a deeper appreciation of the questions it continues to pose. The enduring void compels us to consider how such events embed themselves into the cultural consciousness, transforming from fleeting news cycles into cautionary legends that shape future generations' interactions with the wild. This societal processing of an open-ended narrative highlights our collective discomfort with the inexplicable, and our persistent efforts to impose order and meaning, even when the truth remains stubbornly out of reach, like a shimmering mirage on the distant horizon. The unfolding of this profound absence, therefore, serves as more than just a recounting of a historical event. It acts as a powerful lens through which to examine our own vulnerabilities, our capacity for both hubris and humility, and the unyielding allure of the unknown. It's a testament to the fact that some stories, by their very nature, are designed to remain unfinished, perpetually inviting us to ponder the limits of our knowledge and the boundless secrets that our world continues to hold. This continuous invitation to curiosity, born from a chilling silence, is perhaps the most enduring legacy of all. The enduring void, left by such an absolute disappearance, compels us to confront a profound truth about our existence. Despite our technological advancements and our relentless mapping of the globe, pockets of true mystery endure. This prolonged silence, far from fading into history, instead solidifies into a potent reminder that even in an era of unprecedented surveillance and information saturation, the raw, indifferent power of the natural world can still guard its secrets with chilling efficiency. It compels us to consider the very nature of what it means for lives to simply evaporate, leaving behind only echoes and a spectral vehicle, challenging our fundamental assumptions about control and the capacity of the Earth to remain inscrutable. The absence itself becomes a tangible presence, shaping our collective consciousness in a way that a fully explained tragedy never could. This particular brand of vanishing doesn't merely conclude a story, it elevates it into a modern myth, a cautionary tale whispered across generations. It transcends the immediate tragedy, transforming into a testament to the unyielding power of the natural world, reminding us that while humanity strives to conquer and comprehend, there are forces that operate on scales far beyond our immediate grasp. These profound, unresolved mysteries serve to ignite a deep-seated curiosity within us, prompting a re-evaluation of our relationship with the wild, untamed corners of our planet, and fostering a profound respect for their inherent, often perilous, majesty. They become cultural touchstones, symbols of the unknown that continue to fascinate and humble us, anchoring our understanding of a world that still holds immeasurable depths. Moreover, the absence of a definitive conclusion fundamentally reshapes the very fabric of memory and legacy for those touched by such an event. How do families, friends, and a nation remember individuals who have no marked graves, no final resting place, and no clear narrative of their end? Their existence becomes an open-ended question, their memory infused with a perpetual longing for answers that may never come. This unique form of remembrance, devoid of the traditional rituals of closure, highlights the profound human need for an ending, no matter how tragic, and the psychological burden of living with an eternal "what if?" It underscores how the lack of information can paradoxically create a more vivid, albeit agonizing space in our collective consciousness, a ghost in the mind that refuses to be laid to rest. Building on this, consider the quiet heroism of those who, for decades, refused to forget. This isn't about the initial dramatic search efforts, but the sustained, often solitary dedication of individuals who continue to pore over maps, revisit old theories, or simply keep the memory alive through personal vigils and private investigations. Their unwavering commitment to a truth that remains hidden speaks volumes about the enduring strength of the human spirit and our innate need for justice, even when that justice is simply the uncovering of a long-lost fact. It reinforces the value of persistent inquiry, demonstrating that the quest for understanding is often its own reward, regardless of whether a definitive answer ever materializes. This quiet perseverance stands as a testament to the profound impact a single unresolved event can have, echoing through time. Furthermore, the paradox of such an absolute vanishing in an age saturated with data forces us to reconsider the limitations of our technological prowess. Despite satellites peering down from orbit, advanced sensors detecting minute anomalies, and vast networks of communication, the desert demonstrated its capacity to swallow evidence whole, leaving a clean slate where human lives once thrived. This dichotomy between our aspiration for omnipresent knowledge and the stark reality of occasional absolute ignorance compels us to question not just the effectiveness of our tools, but also the very nature of what can be known. It highlights that some truths are simply too vast, too deeply buried, or too ephemeral for even our most sophisticated instruments to capture. Ultimately, the tale of the Scorpion and its vanished passengers compels us to embrace a deeper sense of humility and an unquenchable thirst for knowledge. It reminds us that while we strive to conquer and comprehend, there will always be realms beyond our immediate grasp, phenomena that defy our current scientific paradigms. This isn't a call to fear the unknown, but rather to approach it with a profound respect, a sharpened awareness, and an open mind. For it is in these liminal spaces where the known gives way to the inexplicable that our curiosity is most profoundly ignited, driving us to ask bigger questions, not just about what happened, but about the very fabric of reality itself. The true practice begins now, not in finding the answers to every mystery, but in continually seeking, questioning, and learning from the profound, silent lessons etched into the world around us. The greatest wisdom often resides not in definitive solutions, but in the enduring questions that continue to resonate long after the searchlights have faded and the desert has reclaimed its silence.